I have been gardening for almost 6 years now, and I see each year as a learning opportunity. And that's what I love about gardening is that there is always so much to learn. So I thought that I would share some of my biggest gardening lessons from this year, just as a record for myself, but also because it might help somebody else out there. Number one is you don't have to grow all the different varieties each year. It can be hard when there are so many different pepper and tomato varieties or whatever else you're growing, but it's much easier to stick to the number of plants you can actually manage and growing a combination of tried and true varieties and then adding a few new ones in each season to try. That being said, it's easier said than done, so we'll see how that goes. Number two is it's okay to remove a plant if it isn't performing well. I have always had a bad habit of hanging on to plants longer than I should because I always hope for some miraculous comeback. And while some plants do end up having a good comeback, I need to really focus my efforts and resources like water on plants that are healthy, not struggling. Number three is if you're using compost, make sure it's had time to cool down. I really should have known better, and I knew compost needed time to cool down fully, but I had gotten some municipal compost, and I just really didn't think about it for some reason. It looked so well broken down and really just looked like good soil, and I added some to a raised bed about 2 weeks after I collected it and transplanted some pepper seedlings there shortly after, and those seedlings fizzled out because the compost was just too hot. And the general advice for letting compost cool is to wait at least 3 weeks after harvesting it. So the municipal compost I got must have been really fresh for it to have burned my seedlings. Number four is give your plants room to grow. I don't think you need to strictly follow every spacing guideline for some plants, and everyone seems to have an opinion on spacing guidelines, but some plants I have found grow just fine closely together. But for your larger plants like tomatoes, you definitely don't want to have too many too close together. I had 8 tomato plants in most of my raised beds, and I honestly think it was too crowded for them, so they were just always needing to be fed, and I was filling up the self-watering Oyas that I have in my raised beds all the time, which defeats the purpose of using Oyas. Number 5 is harvest more often and try to use things up or preserve them faster. I would sometimes not feel like eating a large batch of something that was ready to pick, so I'd leave things on the plants longer, but then something like a caterpillar would ravage a tomato, or a bird would peck at one, or things would just rot on the plant, and I'd have to end up composting them. Or if I did harvest some things, they ended up sitting on my counter for a while if I didn't have a game plan for them right away, or if I thought about making a dish and ended up not making it, some things ended up rotting. So I really should have made more of an effort to eat up what I harvested, or if I saw that we weren't consuming things at the pace they were ready to eat, to do something with them. Freeze them, pickle them, or give them away. Just anything so that my efforts didn't go to waste, because I also hate food waste. And it makes me feel better that I can compost things, but I can make compost out of other plant matter. But if I'm growing food, the goal should be eating it, not composting it. And some things start to go bad sooner than you'd think, so even if you think you have a few days to consume something, in some cases, you don't. There were definitely more lessons that I learned this year of gardening, but these were just the main ones that I feel I really want to take with me into the next year, and maybe some of this will resonate with someone else out there too. If you had any garden lessons yourself this year, tell me what they are in the comments so we can learn from each other.